Hello wise viewers, I'm Menuka
from beautiful Kathmandu, Nepal. The warm-hearted Nepalese people wish that love continues to grow in your hearts through God's blessing.
Today, we'll explore the exciting subject of reincarnation and the remembrance of past lives. For centuries, reincarnation remained a mystery, leading to questions about human existence and the nature of previous lives. Nowadays, however, many individuals are coming forward to share detailed memories of their past lifetimes. Next, we present stories about reincarnation that may satisfy your curiosity and inspire you in a spiritual way. Dr. Jim Tucker, a renowned past life expert from the US, has recorded 2,500 cases of children
remembering their previous incarnations.
Dr. Tucker now shares an account by a boy named Ryan Hammonds.
I'm at the University of Virginia in the United States. It's in the Department of Psychiatry, but we have a special research division called the Division of Perceptual Studies, where we look at phenomena that relate to the mind-brain question and also the question of survival after death. So I'm a child psychiatrist, and my particular interest is in children who say that they remember past lives. And this is work that has gone on at the university for 50 years. We have a lot of cases. One that I studied fairly recently was, there's a little boy in Oklahoma, which is in the southwest US, who started saying that he'd had a life in Hollywood and would get very upset about it, cry about missing his life. So his mom checked out a couple of books on old Hollywood from the library to see if they would stimulate more specific memories so that he could deal with them. Well, they were looking through them one day and there was a picture from an old movie, and he stopped and pointed at one of the men and said, "Hey, that's George, I made a movie with him." And the man he was pointing to was George Raft, who was a movie star back in like the 30s. And then he pointed to another man and said, "Hey, and that's me, I found me." Well, the fellow that he pointed to, it turned out was an extra who had no lines in the movie. So it was impossible to identify who he was, seemingly impossible. So the mom wrote to me to see if I could help identify him. And eventually, through a lot of work and the efforts of a Hollywood archivist, we were able to identify that man. Well, meanwhile, the mom is sending me emails all the time talking about the statements that this little boy is making about the past life. So he talked about how he had danced on Broadway in New York and then gone to Hollywood. He was in the movies. Then he worked for an agency. He said that he had seen the world on big boats, and he had a house with a big swimming pool. And all of this seemed quite unlikely to me for an extra with no lines in a movie. But when we eventually identified the fella, he in fact had that life. He had danced on Broadway, then he'd gone to Hollywood. He was in the movies for a while and then started a successful talent agency. He and his wife went to Europe on the Queen Elizabeth. The little boy had said that the street address had the word rock, and the street address of this house was Roxbury. So this was one where the child gave a lot of specific details about someone who lived a long time ago. The fellow had died 50 years before the little boy was born. And it seemed impossible he could have learned about it through any normal means. So it looked like there was this connection with this fellow's past life. I think what they seem to indicate is that consciousness is not limited just to the physical brain, but can continue on after the brain dies. And I think there are other reasons to consider that consciousness should be considered separate from the physical world, that it's a separate entity and is not necessarily dependent on the physical world. In fact, the reverse may well be true, that the physical world is dependent on consciousness. So in these cases, this consciousness has continued after the brain died, and for whatever reason has shown up again in somebody, another person that was born.
We'll go go outside for a moment to take in some fresh air and contemplate the reasons for reincarnation. Please stay tuned to Reincarnation, Past Lives Remembered, here on Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our program where we are learning about children's recollections of past lives. Dr. Jim Tucker has been researching numerous families with children who remember their past lives. One such child was 3-year-old Lee, who remembered his life as Oscar-winning screenwriter Sidney Coe Howard. According to Dr. Tucker, when Lee was about 2.5 years old, he began talking about his other mummy. And when he was 3.5, he became sad and upset because he couldn't go to his other house and needed to get back to work. He said that his middle name was Coe, though it wasn't, and that his birthday was June 26, though it was actually June 21st. He also said he had a daughter named Jennifer and loved Hollywood, saying that's where he lived and worked on movies. When his parents asked him if he acted in movies, he said no, he wrote them.
So we asked him, what movies did he write? And he thought for a minute and he goes, I don't remember.
Lee's mother started naming off some famous movie titles.
Maybe about the 4th or 5th one was Gone with the Wind. And he got real excited and he said, yeah, that's my movie. You know that movie? I wrote that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lee's sister asked him how old he was when he died, and he said he was 48 years old. Lee's mother looked up Gone with the Wind on the internet to see who wrote the script and found that the writer's name was indeed Sidney Coe Howard, who was born on June 26, died at the age of 48, and had a daughter named Jennifer.
Lee's parents had no previous knowledge of Coe's life, so they could not have influenced Lee's feelings or story in any way.
Oscar winner, AFI Life Achievement Award recipient, a legendary Hollywood actress, Miss Shirley MacLaine, has long been sharing her past life memories in media interviews, including on the Today Show. After working on location in the Canary Islands for a movie, she also wrote a book about her memories of her past life in Atlantis. Miss MacLaine says that no one really dies. Let's hear about how she came to realize this fact.
I think when I first started having past life recall, and then of course I got into the scientific study of it and did many regressions, and what was so fascinating was in the regressions of the past lives that I have experienced, I realized the people who showed up in those experiences were also in my life today. And that became very educational. Oh, that's why they're acting like that. Look what I did to them then. That's when I understood the laws of karma. It's an inspiration to try to figure out what's going on here. I look at it as an adventure in understanding the science of the spirit. That's what I'm interested in now, in every way.
Thus, Miss MacLaine affirms the view of Dr. Tucker and numerous others who say that the soul never dies. It just uses different bodies. Let's listen to our beloved Supreme Master Ching Hai's comments on reincarnation shared during her lecture, The Only Criminal is Ignorance, held in Prague, Czech Republic on May 28, 1999.
There are many children who were born and until up to 5, 4, or sometimes 8, they still remember their last life, and they still can remember where their house was, very far away from there, and they can still speak that language, and they still know the names of the parents and every item in the house, that their past lives, they still can point out, even though they have never been there. You read newspapers, there are many reports like that. To explain on this subject is much, much more vast and deeper. It takes longer time. It's not just the incarnation life from one body to the next or from one life to the next. There are so many things that is very subtle and very mysterious. And we will take time to know that if we meditate every day, and God will teach us everything.